So this is the Magnate. We call it mentoring on television. You call it lending a voice to business growth. That's exactly what we're going to be doing on the program today, because we have a banker of repute, a scholar, entrepreneur par excellence, having mentored and molded a lot of other entrepreneurs. How are you faring with the inflationary trend? Because it's mentoring on television, just get your pen and paper ready, because we are set for an academic session, a business school style, the Harvard and Savannah standard. Let's give you the background report of our guest for the week. You'll agree with me. When we come back, he's eminently qualified to lend a voice to the finance sector, where he sits at top in one of the foremost credit bureau in the country. Join us shortly. We'll be back.
Dr. Ahmed Tunde Popoola, Chairman Board of Directors of IMS Media Company Limited, a banker of repute, an economist, fellow, chartered accountant, entrepreneur, the pioneer Chief Executive Officer of Abuja Enterprise Agency, and the pioneer MD and CEO of CRC Credit Bureau since 2008 till date. Multiple master's degree in finance economics, capping it with a doctorate in finance. Belongs to several associations where he has held leadership positions. Ahmed Tunde Popoola is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of CRC Credit Bureau Limited, a premier credit bureau established by 11 famous Nigerian banks in association with the world-renowned credit rating company, Dun & Bradstreet, to assist in providing financial infrastructure to promote borrowers' information sharing among lenders.
Welcome back. Yes, very brief citation. If we have to talk about his citation, we may just dedicate the entire program to that. But it's a great pleasure, really delighted to host in the studios of IMS Media Company Limited, Dr. Ahmed Tunde Popoola, the MD, CEO of CRC Credit Bureau, holding several other caps, the chairman of CBAN. CBAN is Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria. You're welcome to IMS Studio, sir.
Good day. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for making out time to at least hack into this call, in spite of your very loaded and busy schedule. Let's set the pace, sir. What do you think, or how can you rate the present economic downturn vis-a-vis business owners, particularly the MSME? How do you, because you deal with them a lot, let's set the pace with that.
Thank you very much. It's really a challenging time for us globally, and then much more specifically as a nation. I'll call it a mixed bag in the sense that while government is trying and has tried quite a lot of initiatives and policies to support the SMEs, there are so many other things that have not allowed them to be able to flourish the way they should flourish. So on the one hand, you have government promoting ease of doing business, and you can see that our ranking in the ease of doing business has really improved significantly over time since 2017. Government has also passed the Finance Act that enables SMEs not to pay taxes if their revenue is below a certain threshold of, I think, about 25 million. They've tried to exempt them from taxation based on certain parameters. They've tried to make funds available to them through a lot of intervention funds. They've tried to make registration of businesses easy for those who want to register. As a person now, you can register your business as a retail liability because you don't need other people to do that. The Inland Revenue has tried as much as possible both at the federal and the state levels to digitize operations and processes so that it can make those easy for them. So when you look at all of that, you begin to say, yes, government is trying to create an enabling environment for businesses to thrive, for people to start their businesses and to grow their businesses. Those are the positive sides, you can say. But on the other side are challenges. A lot of them macroeconomic in nature, a lot of them structural in nature. Macroeconomic in the sense of inflation rate, foreign exchange challenges, infrastructural deficits, electricity, lack of transportation, even for the goods and services that are produced, challenge of purchasing power for people to be able to demand for the products, quality of manpower that we have that do not enable businesses to have quality personnel to work for them. I mean, if you take electricity alone as an example of what we're talking about, there's nowhere you can have a flourishing economy. When you situate all of this, you realize that really the issue is a mixed bag. Government on one hand trying to do what they can do, and on the other hand there are also economic issues. Now we were in recession until just last quarter when we just barely had out of it. And when you look at even being out of it, a lot of the sectors that are supposed to be propellers of the economy are actually still in recession. They still have negative growth to the economy. So when you look at all of these, it becomes very difficult for a business to really thrive. Okay. We are under the circumstances we found ourselves.
Thank you very much for that beautiful background, beautiful insight it has been. Now, having related as an astute banker yourself, you have related with a lot of the lenders, that is the commercial banks now, and then the business owner. What do you think is the relationship between the two of them? Because we have a lot of issues in terms of borrowing and all that. What's the relationship? Let's start from there first.
Okay, so you must understand that every bank wants to make money.
Sure.
And so they are always out there. And the essence of banking is financial intermediation. On the one hand, they collect from those who have deposits and don't know what to do with their money.
Mm-hmm. Help them spend it.
And then look for those who have ideas but don't have the money and try to bring them together. That's the whole essence of banking. Okay. We call it financial intermediation. Okay. And so then they are supposed to just make margins based on, bringing the.
I like that word, margins. But is that what obtains?
The middle, yeah. So clearly, a bank would normally be looking for those to whom to give credit.
Credible ones.
But why is it difficult?
Exactly. That's the issue.
To really get those who to give credit to give loans to? The challenges are very enormous. On the one hand is the profile of the borrowers. Who are they? Where are they? Who is he? Who is she? Who is the company? They need to know who to give their money to, because they must be able to determine whether that person has the capacity to borrow, and when he does borrow, whether he's willing to repay the loan.
Or can repay the loan.
We talk about capacity to borrow and the willingness to really repay.
Okay.
And so they always have that challenge of identifying the best borrowers.
Okay.
On the other hand, they also have the challenge of managing the risk inherent, in a specific borrower. And then, of course, for the borrowers themselves, what do they want to borrow for? Why do you want to borrow? Is it for the good reasons? Is it for the bad reasons? A lot of people just want to borrow without clear articulation of the deployment of the funds. And when you want to borrow, the bank wants to know how you want to deploy the funds. They should be able to assure themselves to a large extent that that money will be repaid through the process, through the transaction to which you put the fund. So we have this issue, and that's the challenge we have. But over time, in recent time, the banks have tried as much as possible to come up with a lot of initiatives, a lot of products, a lot of services.
To encourage.
And because they've studied the market, they know that quite a lot of businesses are out there looking for money. A lot of borrowers, consumers are out there looking for money. And so they've come up with a lot of products and a lot of initiatives, especially propelled by technology, which is now the driver of the processes for lending.
All right, thank you so much. That's where you come in. Before I ever heard of, maybe it's peculiar to just me, before I ever heard of CROC Credit Bureau, the issue of credit bureau was alien to the country. So why the concepts, or why credit bureau, which you, CROC, pioneered as the MD?
Okay, so interesting question. So when you want to travel from Lagos to Ibadan, if the road is bad, you probably take 4 or 5 hours.
Sure.
If the road is good, you probably take an hour plus. It's all about the state of the road. If you want to give money to borrowers, something must enable you to have information about them so that it can make your job easy without necessarily relying on the information provided to you directly by the potential borrower. So you're looking for a third party.
Okay.
So a credit bureau is a repository of credit information.
Interesting.
They bring information about borrowers together and make such information, process it, make it available to lenders, who then is looking for credible people to give money to, or lack of credible people not to give money to. So the bureau comes in as an infrastructure, just like the road. It's a facilitator of information. It's a repository of information. It's a database of all borrowers in the country. And the whole essence is to close that gap, information gap, what we call information asymmetry between lenders and borrowers. It's a third-party institution that aggregates information, makes such information available so that banks can lend with a high level of confidence, with a high level of information about those they want to lend to. And it's also to be able to price their risks. Because if you find somebody or a company that is good based on their past experience that from the data they collect from the bureau, then such borrower will enjoy lower credit rates compared to someone who was found to be very risky. So it's a system that enables an economy to flourish as a credit economy. There is no way you can have a successful credit economy when you don't have credit bureaus. And there's no way you can have a successful economy when you don't have a credit system.
All right. So, I mean, the next natural question will be, has the advent of credit bureau really added value, or has it sanitized the lending and borrowing? Just hold the thought, sir. Let's go for this short break. I'm sure you have taken a lot of tips already. We're in a business school here. And he's here, the guru himself, Dr. Ahmed Tunde, the MD, CROC Credit Bureau, also the chairman of CBAN, Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria. Let's go for a short break. We'll be back shortly to continue the interactive session. Very shortly. This is the Magnate, lending a voice to business growth. Are you growing your business already? We still have Dr. Popoola in the house, a banker of repute, MD, CROC Credit Bureau, chairman of Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria, entrepreneur par excellence, the very first MD, managing director of Abuja Enterprise Agency. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
Now, we have a question pending.
Yeah.
Has Credit Bureau, which CRC opened the doors for, you have so many of them, and that's how you can be the chairman. Has it added value, or do we still have these issues of borrower lending and all that, which sometimes I know you have to, sanction, so to say, offending borrowers?
So, fantastic question. Credit Bureau in Nigeria, the regulated regime came in 2009. That's when 3 credit bureaus were licensed: CRC Credit Bureau, First Central Credit Bureau, and Credit Registry. And you see that since that time, there have been a lot of changes in the lending space. Let me say that the essence of Credit Bureau is to, enhance access to credit for SMEs and consumers. As for the big businesses, they always have a way of lending, getting their money. They don't have problem getting money. So you realize that from that time, some of the things that have happened like this: number one, there has been increase in the number of borrowers. There has been increase in the number of consumers and SMEs that have access to credit. Today, virtually every bank has SME desk where they are attending to SMEs. Today, virtually every bank is doing consumer credit, retail credit. You never had that 7, 8, 10 years ago.
Sure.
Okay, so the number of people who have access to credit today, even through their telephone, through access to internet, without even entering the banking hall, is increasing day by day. And the number of providers of credit, like fintechs, like money lenders, like microfinance bank, is also increasing. Why? Because they don't have the comfort that they have the relevant information which the credit bureaus provide.
Has provided.
So that's a significant shift in the models of lending, in the character of lending, in the products and services that are available to consumers and SMEs when it comes to borrowing. So we have been able to do that, and we continue to do that as an industry. Now, the other thing you find out is that the level of non-performing loans has has reduced. In
Good.
2008, 2009, when we came on board, the non-performing loans rate was 32%.
Wow.
Today, I think it's just around 5 to 6%.
Oh, that's a great
So
one.
there's been a significant sanitization of the entire landscape. You cannot take a loan now and run away with it and think that you get another loan somewhere else. It's not possible. And if you are genuine, if you have very good credit history and you have very good credit score, you can be sure that you get a loan as easy as possible within a day and without knowing anybody in the bank, without even walking to the bank. So many products. Credit cards is there, mortgage loans are there, consumer loans are there, and so many other variety of loans have been made available. Now, fintechs have come into the space, leveraging on the information in the credit bureau to also now make loans available electronically. And they do that to thousands of people every day. A typical fintech can access information up to about 10,000 people in a day, trying to give loans to them. That's the beauty of where we are today compared to where we were before. And we are only talking about it because credit bureaus are here and they are stimulating access to credit.
Complemented with technology, no more analog.
Acting on technology.
All right, very good answer to some of the questions already. But let me just, clarify this. I don't know if CBAN is new and if it's always existed. You are the president, chairman of CBAN. I mean, is that meant to be complementary or competitive, as it were, in terms of all the credit bureaus that exist?
So CBAN, when three bureaus were licensed in 2009, that created an industry. And as industry players, we just thought we should have a voice. We should have a rallying point for ourselves. So we formed that association called Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria, which is made up of the three licensed credit bureaus. You have said it that bureaus was new. And it's still relatively new to a lot of people. So CBAN is a not-for-profit, is a vehicle that we have created to be able to advance the course of credit reporting in Nigeria. We've created to be able to create awareness about credit reporting, about what credit bureaus do. We have come to see how we can promote the issue of responsible lending and responsible borrowing. It is meant to also bring us together to be able to have advocacy and look at the interest of credit bureaus and see how we can really get that done. A typical example was what we achieved was making sure that we have a law that back up our operations, which was the 2017 Nigeria Reporting Act, National Reporting Act of 2017. That was a fantastic legislation. We also supported the advent of BVN. We were in the forefront of making sure that, financial system operators, consumers have unique means of identification. That was also part of the achievement of CBAN. So we created CBAN to be able to educate the public, to create awareness about credit reporting, to engage stakeholders in the credit reporting space and in lending space, and make sure that the objectives of credit reporting, which is access to credits for consumers and individuals, is achieved. Those are the major objectives.
Congratulations, sir. I listened to you on another platform where you said entrepreneurs, business owners, they want loan facility and they don't even have bank accounts. How would you describe the banking culture of an average entrepreneur, either medium or small, in Nigeria?
Very interesting that people say you want to go to heaven, but you don't want to die. So you want to borrow, but you don't want to have a banking relationship. How does the bank even have the data about you in the first place? And so you see that financial inclusion was low. And when financial inclusion is low, it means quite a number of people, businesses don't have bank accounts. You'll be surprised, Nigeria has about 41 or 42 million SMEs. So how many of these SMEs? But over 90% of them are micro businesses, businesses owned by individuals. A lot of them don't have banking relationship. And you say, why? You cannot, have access to finance or have access to credit when the requirement is that you must have a bank account.
Is it lack of confidence in the banking sector?
So the first one is a lot of education. The second one is a lot of maybe lack of trust a lot of them already concluded that they will not even give them the loan anyway, which is not a correct perspective to things. And so, but what we have seen so far is that quite a lot of young people, especially the educated one, are now in the forefront of, embracing banking culture, and they're embracing financial inclusion culture. They're embracing, agent banking services, so that even where there are no bank branches, there are agent banks now where people can just do banking transaction. And I think that is helping us to, improve on the financial inclusion that we're talking about.
Thank you so much. Again, like we have alluded to, you mold a lot of entrepreneurs. And we always hear, in fact, the banks or whoever is lending always say that you can't give credit facility to any business idea that is a startup, no matter how good the concept is. How do you clarify this? Why is that, and why shouldn't such a concept be encouraged?
So what is a startup?
A
startup is a business that is still in the brain of the conceiver of the idea that is trying to deliver. So you want to deliver a baby, it's uncertain, the risk is high. Don't forget financial intermediation, collecting money from depositors to be made available to borrowers. That fund held by banks is people's money, it's other people's money, which they have to give back to them. So a bank is really wary of lending to startups because startups are very risky. Why are they risky? A lot of their ideas are untested. A lot of them don't have the basic infrastructure to be able to even stand as businesses.
No structure?
A lot of them are just ideas that they see from other places that have not been, tested anywhere. And then, of course, you have the issue around experience. A lot of them never had any business running a business. They don't have any experience running any business. They don't have any experience supervising any staff. They don't have any experience raising capital. So how do you give? And then when you look at it, historically, over 80% of young businesses, new businesses die in their infancy. Within the first 5 years of operation, they die. So when you are in that and you are a banker, you are very skeptical of that. All over the world, startups always have challenge of access to credit. And it's simply because, really, startups are very risky. So those who specialize in giving money to startups are specialized institutions like venture capital or private equity people.
That will be part of that business to mold.
And they may be part of it. Yeah, exactly. So that's it. It's very difficult for you to get depositors' money and be pushing it into startups. Okay. And that's why, for me as a person, based on my own experience and my research, government should have been in the forefront of providing funds to startups. Okay. And then those of them that succeed, we'll call it mainstreaming. They will be mainstream into the normal banking system.
So are you saying that government can let go their money?
Government has social responsibility.
Okay.
And they also have responsibility to promote entrepreneurship, to make sure that people work. Stimulate them to work. So if you have that, and that's it. All the other money that government gives to invest, to other businesses who are already on their feet, banks can do that. They should not be competing with other member banks to give money to existing businesses.
I get it.
That's it. So in the US, you have the Small Business Administration that does a lot in terms of, encouraging startups to start. And then once they start, the banks will take it off from there.
Okay.
And then they fly with it.
I said it. Mentoring on television. Are you a business startup? So you have heard it. You don't just go ask for loan facility when you still have the concept in your brain. This is still the Magnate. Conversation getting quite interesting and stimulating. I'm learning. I'm being mentored. I know that with the erudity of the scholar we have here, definitely we can't exhaust all we have lined up. So, sir, we'll continue this conversation next week. Just a comment. Next week, we shall continue with this conversation where we have give more insight into a lot of other things. Your business and the economy in general, because we have the Managing Director of CROC Credit Bureau and the Chairman of Credit Bureau Association of Nigeria. We'll be back here next week, sir. Thank you very much. Join us then. We'll be back. It's the Magnates.